Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for your Chelsea versus West Ham preview alongside a transfer roundup rating as well, because I wanna go through it and really, assemble the credit out evenly and talk about just how highly I rate this window in terms of what we've done and what we've taken care of, ins and outs. And of course, then we'll be talking about Chelsea versus West Ham and how I'm thinking and feeling towards that game and the lineup that I'm gonna put for Chelsea, and also the lineup that Dan Lawless is going to be submitting and giving them to us as well. I've seen both of the press conferences, so we don't have to worry about any Mateo Kovacic lateness is greatness news there. But speaking of lateness is greatness, Aubameyang, this is something we have in common. Lateness is not greatness though, bro. And this is something that Tuchel was speaking about in the presser. He said the only issue he's ever had with Aubameyang is maybe being a little bit late. It's being said with Arsenal as well. Hopefully those issues don't come to fruition at Chelsea. But in terms of the signing, we all know, that my preference was Zaha for this one. But I must say the critical key to keeping Ziyech, maybe he will complement Aubameyang, and hopefully that chance creation that I was talking about that I have a lot of worries about and still do is going to help Aubameyang, despite Ziyech not always being available and not always be physically fit. He was having a decent spell last season, to the point where I said, listen, you've made it to the next round of X Factor. You've been the best of a bad bunch. In the first 25 minutes against Southampton, I thought Ziyech was definitely good, as was the team, and then everybody just massively dropped off. If we are going to get the best out of Aubameyang, we're going to need to hopefully have Ziyech as a decent, part of this team this season, where he's at least trying to contribute as much as possible and spotting those runs. I remember the games against Man City in the FA Cup. Ziyech and Timo Werner had a really, really good connection because those runs on the big pitches were getting spotted. So hopefully Aubameyang is a success. I would love to see him backflipping at the Emirates. Is something that we need to see. He's taken the number 9 shirt, which is, it hurts. And then I'm seeing I'm back, and I'm seeing, unfinished business, and I'm getting PTSD and I'm getting goosebumps, but in an interesting way, because I'm not too sure if this is exactly what I want to hear. I heard this last year. I'm not too sure if it's exactly what I want to hear, but it is what it is. It's being said, and hopefully this one is much more successful than the last. So yeah, Aubameyang through the door. He's gonna have to wear a mask, much like Torres, much like JT, much like Paulo Ferreira, much like all of these guys, Demba Ba, they've all worn masks, Diego Costa, the list goes on. So many players have been wearing masks. He will be in training next week. He won't be involved in this game wearing that mask and getting back to physical fitness. Obviously, we know his jaw was broken in the robbery this week. And Zakaria worked permanent as well, so he won't be involved from the off. Now, in terms of my opinions on Zakaria, I think this player, I haven't watched a whole lot of him. The only red flag I saw was the injury record, and hopefully that he isn't too injury prone, because we cannot build a team around injury prone players, and to replace injury prone players with more injury prone players is a panic. And it is a panic. It's a panic loan, much like Liverpool with Arthur. It's a panic loan, not a panic buy. We saw a loan last season in Saul Niguez, PTSD again, midfielder, same issues, not addressing them early enough, and then getting somebody last minute on loan, because we then click in the brain, we need a DM, we need a solution. But I'm not going to judge him until I see him on the football pitch. I haven't seen a lot of him. He had promise at Mönchengladbach, then at Juventus didn't go as well, but he's only been there 6 months. So let's see what happens, and hopefully, it doesn't give me good feelings. I'm not excited, of course, when somebody is joining Juventus 6 months ago and then they're so willingly ready to let him go in half an hour. David Orn's team was managed to start the report and end the report on deadline day. It doesn't give me a lot of optimism. However, hopefully he does well, and, he has something within him. This is where the Bundesliga, Mönchengladbach hype came from in the first place. So hopefully he's an underrated undercard, and he just becomes the main event, hopefully, and some people can surprise us, so we'll have to see. But in terms of the window as a whole, I think it's been brilliant. From Todd Boehly, I give it a 10 out of 10. And people wonder, how did you get that figure? Where does that come from? Todd Boehly has gone after every single Tuchel target from start to finish in the order that he wants it. So if you're not happy about the midfielder coming in, you have to look at Thomas Tuchel for maybe not prioritising or not putting that as high up on the list as it needed to be. But Todd Boehly has gone after those centre-backs that he wanted at the start. He's replenished and replaced that attack and got rid of the Werners and the Lukakus as well for him at a hit, at a loss. He's brought in the Sterling, he's brought in the Aubameyang, a clear Tuchel target, a player that he has worked with before, and he's got him at a decent price as well. The 25 million euro asking price that Barcelona initially had comes down to 12, and of course Alonso goes the other way. He's got Emerson out, he's got Batshuayi out, he's got Barkley out, he's terminated contracts for players that we've been trying to move and shift for a long time. So much haggling and hustling for players over the years where we have tried to recoup money from them at a loss, and we've continued to keep loaning them out, new contract over and over again. Now we're actually starting to be really efficient with what we want. We're being cutthroat, we're being ruthless, and that's what we want to see. He replenished that defense wonderfully. Zakaria, excellent signing. Koulibaly, excellent signing. Fofana, excellent signing. New goalkeeper from the US, looking really promising, keeping clean sheets in the MLS. The 18-year-old could even be a Mendy successor. So we're planning for the future when Kepa does find his new club, hopefully in the coming windows. And we've also been signing young players in Omari Hutchinson and etc. So I cannot give him anything else but a 10 out of 10. He went for Rafinha, he went for Dembele, he went for De Ligt, he went for Ake, he went for every single player that reportedly Tuchel wanted. He went for him, and he put the money down, and he spent what is a record amount spent in the Premier League, and only behind Real Madrid. 273 million outlay. And not too much incoming in terms of, it's not like we sold players for 100 million a pop, not like there's a Morata Hazard here. He really put his balls to the walls here, and he came in and did exactly what he said he would do, which is be very ambitious and really help us on this rebuild to rotate this squad around. Is exactly what he's done. So 10 out of 10 for him. For Tuchel, he's in a position that he's not used to. He's not a DOF. You have to take that into account. He's in an uncomfortable area where he doesn't want this much responsibility. However, it was given to him due to the circumstances. He did want a creator. So as much as I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't get a more creative passer, Dembele was on that list. We got rejected. There's nothing he can do about that. Rafinha was on the list in terms of another attacker. He couldn't get that, a rejection. Unfortunate. He can't control that. I think his neglect or his lack of foresight in that DM role for the injury-prone players of Kante and Cover, and misprofiling Gallagher to an extent, expecting him to be a double pivot player, not knowing that you needed a DM earlier, like Klopp, and then knowing you need a midfielder with only a day left. That is an L for sure, and that is not great, and that's what will bring his rating down. But quality over quantity as well. I think all of the players that we've brought in that he's wanted have been high quality. You know, there have been a bit strange links here and there, but most of them have been high-end, top-level footballers. So it's all about how he puts it together. His rating will really determine with the season how we play, the style of football that we play, the home record improving, the points tally, the closing of the gap, securing top four, which we absolutely have to do. It shouldn't even be a question. But at the moment, because he's in that uncomfortable position, because there was so many rejections to Barcelona, unfortunately, which is out of his control, I'm going to give him a steady 7.5, peripheral almost an 8. But I just feel like that DM, that area was so crucial, and to not know that you needed one, or to get that wrong and then see so late on that you needed one, that has to be an L. But outside of that, I'm not too disappointed. As for a creator, like I said, he wanted Dembele. You would hope that the list was a bit longer than just Dembele and Rafinha, but like I said, he's not a DOF. So overall, I'm really happy. If you go and you look at the incomings and the outgoings, I'm sure you'll be happy too. Yes, we're not absolutely over the moon about Billy Gilmour going to Brighton for 9 million. I'm as big a supporter as Billy Gilmour as anyone. You know my thoughts. I wanted this guy included. I rate him very highly, and Purdue the same. But at the end of the day, it's the manager's decision, and I do want the manager backed because it's far easier to judge him once he's been backed. So that's my transfer rating for those two. And as for the signings, like I said, we spoke about the new ones. I'm very happy with the Cucurellas, the Koulibalys, the Fofanas of this world, and the young players as well. So very happy. I think 10 out of 10 for Todd, 7.5 for Tuchel, considering the circumstances as well. Unprecedented for the club. If you had told me at the start of the window, this is the window we're going to have, I would have said, you know what, fair enough. No DOF, not much help. One-man band, two-man band, inexperienced in roles that require experience and require past dealings and connections with director of footballs and agents and all this prior knowledge that you can have that these two didn't. More than happy, more than you can believe. So positive, but we need to put results on the board, and West Ham now is the next game. And for me personally, West Ham is a tough game. They're a top team. You know, they finished 7th. They finished just on the peripheral of Champions League football. I watched the game against Tottenham, hosted it with Lawless and with Tobes, and that was that was a lot. that was a lot to handle. But West Ham are a good team. You know, they've brought in depth. They've spent 179 million. The teams that needed rebuilds, the teams that needed sorting out in their depth, the Chelseas, the West Hams and the Manchester Uniteds, the three biggest spenders in the Premier League. Manchester United spending over 200 million in their rebuild. We spent obviously the most. You could maybe apportion about 30, 35 million of that to young players that will go into the under 21 squad. But apart from that, we've spent a lot on seniors as well. West Ham, 179 million, like I said, spend to get that depth for, you know, rotating themselves between the competitions. Scamacca comes in, Cornet comes in, Paqueta comes in, Emerson Palmieri comes in, Aguerd comes in, Carahar comes in, a midfielder, I can't remember the name of him, but he comes in. He's on the peripherals of the squad, but he came in from Swansea. I think it's Downs. So many players came in for West Ham, and they are going to have to get that to gel, as are we. And Moyes is looking very, very slow to put these players in. He's not just chucking them in, and some West Ham fans will be frustrated with that. I'm going to put Lawless's team up on the screen now before I get into mine. Scamacca, touch and go. Cresswell was mentioned in the press conference, touch and go as well. Emerson Palmieri could start this game. We have to be careful, guys, because these guys really do love the transition. They do love to take advantage of the break. Antonio was really good against Tottenham. He got man in the match. He played very, very well. His hold-up play was there. Hit the post. Really lovely assist as well for the goal for Souček. Declan Rice is obviously going to be in this game as well. They got good players, man. They got good players. And it's going to be a tough game for us. And we need to bounce back. We need to get that win because the results have been so poor against Leeds, against Southampton, and it's just not good enough for us in terms of our aspirations and the quality around us in this league. You cannot afford to keep losing these games because to claw it back is not going to be so easy. The away games against the Wolves, against the Newcastles, the Brightons, it is going to be tough, as West Ham is as well. So for me, in terms of West Ham, we have to keep an eye out for if Paqueta plays, but he may come off the bench because, like I said, Moyes has been slow to play these players. Bowen hasn't had a great start to the season. Maybe Cornet could come in there. You know, Ben Rama as well has been pretty good for them this season. He's had some really, really strong games. So it's going to be very interesting. From a Chelsea standpoint, for us, bouncing back from that Southampton game, for me, Amanda Broja has to start. My team going up on the screen now. For me, Broja has to start. I feel like Kai, as well as he's had moments in matches against Leicester, against Tottenham, and he's won his duels and he's done this, he's done that. We have to see end product. End product is very important for final third players in terms of how you judge them. I wouldn't look at a player's GA and just suddenly think that they're incredible just because of the GA alone. Of course, you need to watch them in general play. However, if you're good or decent in general play and you have no output, that is not good enough either. You have to have output. We need somebody to score and it needs to be you. I think Broja's cameo off the bench was really strong, so I think it's more than deserved that he comes in. The likes of Pulisic, the likes of Ziyech, they have to now buckle down and they have to stay with us until the January transfer window. And I'm hoping mindset-wise they start to get on side and start to settle down and be more comfortable, because at the end of the day, you have nowhere to go. There are some transfer windows that are still open. CFC Daily did put that out. You know, you could go to a Ukrainian league, a Turkish league, Israeli league. You know, I can keep going. You can go to these leagues if you want. You know, those are the only markets that are still open, but I assume you're not going to want to do that. So you have to stay here, knuckle down and do the business, system being against you or not. In terms of the pivot, obviously Zakaria is not available, so we're once again shooting ourselves a bit in the foot. Loftus-Cheek is back for this. There's no Kante as well, but Kovacic, it sounds like he's back. Everybody outside of Aubameyang, Kante and Zakaria sound to be available. So Kovacic, you know, he's been slowly easing in with the minutes. Hopefully he can play in that pivot there with Jorginho. I don't really see another solution. To be honest, there's no Ampadu, there's no Gilmore. These players are not going to be playing. And as much as people will suggest the Trevor Chalobah and DM option, maybe you could say that in a game like this. In fact, you know what? I want to suggest it. I want to suggest Trevor Chalobah in the DM role, but Tuchel's never used him there. And it doesn't seem like he's comfortable playing him there. And in terms of scanning and in possession, is he going to be comfortable? Do you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go for it. Jorginho hasn't been, he's been too up and down for me. Let's just roll with it. I'm going to go Trevor, because yeah, Souček, Rice, it's going to be tough. There's transitions. Trevor Chalobah and Kovacic in the double pivot for me and my team. And then we're going to go, it's tough. It's really, really tough. I think revert back to the three at the back, because clearly the four, we're a little bit exposed. We don't know how Trevor's going to do in terms of in possession. There could still be turnovers. We don't know. So Is Fofana ready? Yeah, Fofana's ready. We're just going to throw Fofana in. Koulibaly, Silva, Fofana. Let's do it. Zakaria starts as well. Chilwell still returning. Reece James is back. And then the front three. Let's go Sterling, Broja, and Gallagher. Let's do it. Let's do it. Mason Mount and Kai Havertz on the bench. I don't feel like their performances, Mason Mount's performance in the second half, he started well in the first half, but again, second half when I watched it back, massively tailed off, lacked composure, started spamming passes, just getting rid of the ball, not good again in terms of the full 90. Kai Havertz again. I want to send messages, and I think we have the ability to send these messages now. Broja's there, Sterling's there, Gallagher. As much as again for him, am I impressed? Not particularly at the moment, but he has been playing out of position. Maybe if you put Gallagher in that front three, which again is still going to have some issues because he's not a dribbler and he's not comfortable out wide, so to speak, to go 1v1, which is what you kind of need to be as those 10s. You need to be able to occupy the 10 position and you need to be able to occupy the flank. That's not his game, so it's still, you know, it's still square pegs in round holes, in my opinion, putting Gallagher in the front three, but we're going to go for it, and hopefully this is his opportunity to bounce back and send a message to some of our boys. It has to be done. We're not winning games and we need to find a way to do that, so we need to send some messages and send some signals, and if they come onto the bench come off the bench hungry, then even better. But let me know what you think of my team. There is changes. And I'm being bold here because I cannot continue to keep criticizing and saying, oh, Tuchel, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And I don't have the balls to do it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. And you let me know what you're trying in the comments below. It's a mad team, but it's a team that I feel is necessary. And I'm actually quite excited actually by the lineup because it's just something fresh, something new. And big up your damn selves. Make sure you subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the, I really hope you enjoyed the video I put out for deadline day. It was mad. If you haven't seen it, check it out at the end, on the end screen. It will be one of the two options there. And make sure as well you're joining me on the watch along for Chelsea versus West Ham on Twitch. I will be playing Fanslide as usual, picking my players. It's a fantasy football game as well. Very easy to play, free to download. The link is in the description, and I'll be playing that, sliding my players in and out, and hopefully Chelsea win whilst we're doing it as well. So I'm looking forward to that, and that really helps me out. So please do join the league. Like I said, it's free to play. It's the fantasy I'm playing at the moment, the fantasy league, and it's free. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's so stressful when you get it wrong, but when you get it right, it's very, very rewarding. So big up your damn selves. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace.